order on July 14th. First up, we need approval of the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Pileski, supported by Willis. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same. Okay, we've approved our agenda. Next up, public comment. Do we have any public comment? I think we do. We have a victim.
Not the first time. Good morning, John Wilson, 1045 South Durant Street. This committee this morning will be voting on taking Jackson County somewhere where it's never been, and that is into the Community Development Block Grant Funding low-income housing business. The city of Jackson already is deeply entrenched with CDBG funding, and if a county, township, or village wants to get into the low-income housing business with federal or state government funding, then let them decide that. But according to a memo addressed to Chairman Duckham, Debbie Kelly from Accelerate Jackson is apparently the CDBG liaison on behalf of Jackson County. Ms. Kelly is the Vice President of Operations of Accelerate Jackson, also known as the Enterprise Group, which is an economic development agency. When did she become a county CDBG liaison? And let's not forget, the last time the EG was involved with housing, that's when the Armory Arts was created. We all know that unfortunate, unhappy ending, which has cost the taxpayers millions. And Mr. Ramsey, Sam Ramsey, who is the CDBG administrator and the founder of Profitable Affordable Housing Development, LLC. Lots of red flags here. Profitable affordable housing. That sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Profitable affordable housing. I did a Google search on Mr. Ramsey's Profitable Affordable Housing Development, LLC, and this LLC was formed just 1 year ago today, or 1 year ago, July 1st, 2024. It states Mr. Ramsey has two other LLCs, Armand Enterprise LLC, which lists two different Jackson addresses, and then Drop Down LLC with another separate Jackson address. According to state records, there is no description of what Armed Enterprises or Drop Down LLC even does. And Mr. Ramsey's Profitable Affordable Housing LLC, that address is listed at 4562 Tudor Lane, Jackson, Michigan. That's a single-family home. How and why has Accelerate Jackson connected with Mr. Ramsey, and how and why has County Administrator Michael Overton signed off on behalf of the County Commission and County Commission Chairman Steve Shotwell on this $472,000 grant application? Instead, maybe we should focus on applying for some grants to help out Sheriff Schutte with a jail addition out on Chandler Road. Thank you.
Thank you. You got under the wire. You're out of time. Thank you. Any other commissioner or public comment? Okay, apparently no other committee or public comment. Move on now to item 4. Need a motion and support to approve the minutes from last month. Motion by Snell, supported by Pileski. All in favor indicate by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Passes unanimously. Move on to item B, finance, May financial statement. Welcome, Cecilia.
Good morning. So yeah, I'm here to go over May's financial statements. The benchmark for May is 41.7%. As you can see, our expenditures year-to-date at 42.7%, which is a little bit over our benchmark, but I'll mention something in a minute about that. And then our revenue year-to-date percent total is 22.9%, but our 3-year average revenue is at 21.7, which is a little bit over, which is a positive. The May financial statements does not reflect the budget amendment that this board approved in June. So I just want to make that note, which would explain why we're a little bit over our benchmark. It was because that budget amendment is not in there. We did increase some expenditures. So my expectation is that we're pretty much right at our benchmark where we should be. Does anyone have any questions regarding the May financial statements?
Don't look like we have any questions.
Okay.
Move to receive the report.
Support.
All right. Thank you.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item C, the IT department. Welcome.
Good morning. If you haven't met me before, I'm Matt Richardson, so I'm standing in for Ben today. This is a motion request for a yearly on-base support agreement renewal with Highland. The amount is $78,890.19, and it was a budgeted expense from our budget, so. If you have any questions?
Do we have questions, board? Okay, pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion of support? Motion by Snell. Supported by Pulaski. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we have your semi-annual report.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I'm going to start off on page 3, because page 2, there's no real changes, so go to page or item 3. Year-to-date tickets, as you can see, we're opening and closing them at approximately the same rate. There's been approximately a 9% increase, but we're keeping up with that. So that's all I have for, unless you have questions on that one.
Speak into the mic or something. Hey, I can barely hear you.
Move it closer, sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Number 4, GIS. The year-to-date totals haven't changed on paper that much, so we're not going to talk about that, but we are going to talk about the flyover has been completed, and the new imagery should be here this fall, so we're glad to see that. And we're also doing a server and software upgrade, so that'll be happening too. Slide number 5, completed projects. We performed a pretty extensive audit on all of our contracts with Verizon and found that we needed a better updated, corrected plan, so we're saving about 15% on those, and that's been completed. Item 3, we've consolidated or continued to consolidate our servers. We're down to about 102, so this is an additional cost savings for the IT department. Slide number 6. Big changes in the, countywide broadband. No, number 6, ongoing projects. Thank you. Item number 1, the public defender software is one of the ongoing projects. We're going to be trying to finish that project this month. It's called FileVine. Bullet point number 4, the tower to fairground fiber installation for the above ground fiber has been completed, but the underground is still being held up due to railroad permits. So that's where we're at with that. We're currently doing an countywide audit of our printer and copier contracts. We found a lot of different contracts. We're trying to consolidate into a couple vendors so we can manage it better and get a better deal in the long run. And then bullet point number 7, I wanted to highlight that we're continuing to complete the integration with Hillsdale County from the CAD to CAD solution. And number 7, the countywide broadband project, the BEAD grant, there are some substantial changes there. The good news is the eligibility for Jackson County has remained relatively unchanged, which is a good thing. We've done a lot of work there, and we're glad that's not changing. Our biggest concern is they've removed a lot of the regulations, and the biggest issue is as long as it's within 15%, new vendors can come in from the cost perspective, and they've removed the shareholder engagement. So we no longer have to sign or can suggest which vendors can come and who can't. So additional wireless and satellite vendors could come in. One of the issues with that is the application is supposed to be completed on July 21st. We're not sure how many vendors could actually make the deadline. So that should change very little, we hope. So that's the deal with that. Then on to security. We're holding steady and addressing the issues as they arise like normal. We still don't have any critical issues, and where we do have high concerns, it's because we're required to use certain types of software with the state of Michigan, so we don't have a choice. We have to use that software, and so there are some issues with that, but not critical. That's a big deal. And then challenges on our last page, or second to last page. We're constantly looking for ways to streamline our costs in the market. There a lot of prices are going up everywhere, and so we have to continually be concerned about that. So we work with our peers. We work with our going to conferences to see what we can do about that. And that's all I have to say about that, I guess. And then last page, our current department goals. I'm just going to go over the short terms because those are the most relevant. We want to continue to provide continuity of service during the Verigy project. There's been a lot of shutdowns, a lot of unscheduled work to be done, so we're trying to keep up with that and keep everybody up and running without issues going down. And then the end of life, end of support for Windows 11 or Windows 10 happens this fall, so we're going to try to keep ahead of that. It's not a concern of ours, but it's one of our goals to stay ahead of that. So that's all I have.
Okay, Board, we have Commissioner Pulaski. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to receive the report and then have a question if I can achieve second. Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support.
And the question is with respect to the BEAD grant, and I'm going to admit my ignorance on it and readily do so. So if we get the grant, is that a grant that goes like to a vendor that would have that additional money to supplement their cost of expanding internet service in the lesser served areas?
Exactly.
Okay, I
Yes.
mean, it makes it, if it costs you X to do it,
Yep,
we're gonna give you a grant to make it only cost you Y to do it.
exactly.
Okay, so it's more likely to give service to poorly served areas, which is frankly my area.
Underserved and unserved was the biggest goal, and that's what they're trying to do, is try to find those locations that meet that criteria. And then the vendors were gonna,
But it's still a vendor that would be doing the extension and have as their customers, the folks in those underserved
exactly.
areas.
And what changed primarily is when they applied for the contract, we were gonna, if we signed a document and gave it to them, that gave them a percentage better chance of getting that contract, and that's been removed. So we no longer are signing a piece of paper saying, we like this vendor because of this, we like this. We were approving most vendors based on what they were asking for. And so now they've removed a lot of those regulations. So now wireless vendors that wouldn't necessarily want to be in this contract, and also satellite vendors could also apply. But again, they have to do it within this month.
I guess my point in asking the question, it's not the county
Yes,
that's extending the service or being the
Right,
vendor.
exactly.
It is Verizon or someone else, or Comcast
Yes.
or WOW or somebody else.
right.
Those are the ones that the folks would contract with to get better internet service than they get now.
Yes,
And that's who they have to kind of deal with.
right. And this would also help the vendors run the fiber or run the product out to the house.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure I understood that.
No problem.
I'm not sure I did, and I shouldn't admit it, but there it is. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Snell.
Thank you. So it's also my understanding that, so we run that last mile of cable out to this house, they don't have to sign up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could be sinking money into infrastructure that's not going to be used. Or
Right.
not we as a county, but as a state and a.
Exactly. The grant is working on a lot of assumptions that if we provide high-speed internet at a certain level to a location, they're going to want to buy it. So that's why it was suggested the grant would be for unserved and underserved locations that don't have fast internet, that don't have that access. So it's an assumption, but yes, you can make assumptions that most people would buy it if they needed it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions? I have one. Who's going to make the decision on which vendor gets the business, or is it split up amongst the different vendors? Do we
believe
have a
that-
say in it?
I believe the state is making the decision on that. Ultimately, the funds are coming from the federal government, and I believe there's a couple groups in the state of Michigan that ultimately make that decision. And I do believe that multiple vendors could get money for that based on the locations they want to go. Not every vendor wants to do all of Jackson County. Some vendors want this corner, some vendors want this corner. Of course, there's still going to be that.
Okay, just so we don't get stuck with somebody that, like HughesNet.
I hope not.
Okay. There's no further questions. We had a motion and support. All in favor indicate by voting aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, Accelerate Jackson CDBG grant application.
Good morning, Debbie Kelly with Accelerate Jackson County. I'm the vice president there. I stand before you today asking that this committee consider authorization for the intent to submit a full CDBG application and set a public hearing for the evening of Tuesday, July 22nd at 7:05 p.m. to consider the intent for our submittal of the application. The purpose of the $472,000 CDBG funding is through the Michigan Neighborhood Program. Our intent to submit a CDBG application and to develop a homeowner rehab improvement program for qualified Jackson County residents. MISTA has reserved $400,000 in funding for this initiative, with an additional $72,000 allocated for admin and program-related costs. I will tell you that Jackson County would be the applicant on this, or is the applicant on this. The city of Jackson is not eligible because and that's one of the top issues that our businesses have, our housing needs. I realize that we are an economic development organization, but housing does tie into that. Maybe not our lane, but we definitely can go into that lane a little bit, if you will. And that's one of our initiatives for our new capital campaign that begins January 1, is to help the county with any housing initiatives. We understood that for this particular round of funding, Community Action Agency did not apply for this. We had the opportunity, and we didn't want the county to miss out on this opportunity. We wanted to leverage funds where there's a much needed help in this area is for housing. We don't have the particulars of how we're going to decide which houses are going to get picked, and that's something that we're going to be working on over the next couple of months as we put together the full application with Mr. Ramsey. But again, it's an opportunity we didn't want to miss for the county, and it's no cost to the county. We are getting the $72,000 in admin fees, which would take care of Mr. Ramsey, any legal notices, any admin fees, things like that. So that definitely wouldn't be a concern, no expenses to the county. With that, I think I'd like to bring up Mr. Sam Ramsey. As you know, he's the founder of Profitable Affordable Housing Development. And Sam was very diligent in his role with his company to reach out to a number of different counties around the state of Michigan, which led him to Jackson County. I know he spoke with Commissioner Shotwell and County Administrator Overton to say, hey, who would be a good entity for me to work through? And of course, Accelerate Jackson County came up because we are a really good fiduciary on behalf of the county. So I do consider myself a liaison of this body because I work for you and work for the county. So at this time, unless there's any questions for me, I'd like to invite Mr. Ramsey up so he can explain a little bit further about what we're trying to do here. Sam? Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello. Oh, you can go right ahead. Oh, good morning. I'm sorry. How are you guys doing today? My name's Mr. Ramsey, Sam Ramsey. I'm the founder of my company, Paid LLC. That's Profitable Affordable Housing Development. The reason my company was started was that we were specifically working within the My Neighborhood Grant Program. We work on both sides. The first side is Housing Community Development Fund, which is where we have an active project in Alpena, Michigan for we're receiving about $2.4 million from the state of Michigan to help us and assist building 12 brand new housing units in the city of Alpena. Currently, we have our project, the land under contract, and that's where we got started to do the CPG, since we are building out the grant management portion for the state of Michigan on our grants. We wanted to start to reach out on the other side and start working with the state of Michigan. So on that front, I originally started with reaching out to Tanya, my neighborhood development division program administrator. Talked to her, Chris, who's also over the CBG program, and they had an issue. This program started in April of last year, but beginning in February of this year, they still have $55 million left in funding. So what I did, I took the initiative and reached out for the state of Michigan on their behalf to multiple counties across the state. Within 1 week, I contacted about 25% of the counties within the state of Michigan by myself. With that being impressed, and I gave them a lot of feedback, with my help, they actually changed the entire program. They actually changed the entire $55 million program just off my initiative alone. So as I stand in front of you guys, I'm learning more about this program, just like everyone else is in the county, in the state. But my impact has been greatly immense for the state of Michigan. So for the reason for this funding that we're in front of you guys today is that I plan on to essentially help improve Jackson County's housing, whether that is through helping prevent some of the blight, whether people are buying homes and need some homes be fixed. Those are all eligible expenses right now underneath the CBG program.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, questions? Commissioner Snell.
Thank you, Chairman. So looking through your numbers here, 40 homes that you have planned, $400,000, which average about 10,000, but then later I read that it could be up to $40,000 with contingency for a home.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
that would mean that if you did the full amount there, that'd be 10 homes that you are doing.
Yes. What I decided was that it should be best up to the applicant whether they want to go up to 10,000 or up to the full amount.
And then I also noticed that your administrative fee is 18% of the project. Can you tell me what all your administrative costs are?
Yes. As of right now, what we're planning on doing with the administrative costs is that we're helping pay for Accelerate Jackson's time as well as helping pay for me to help administrate this program, in addition to paying for a chief inspector officer, as well as another environmental review officer as well. And then in addition to pay for any other finance needs that we need, whether that's mailing, interviews with applicants, as well as even marketing as well.
So my last question is, or comment is, I mean, this is pretty last minute. You've been thinking about this for a year, I think is what I read, and you've been working on this for a year, but now we're down to crunch time, and we're not really given a lot of time to consider this project. So can you tell me why it came down? I mean, I think you got notice of this on Friday.
Yeah. So essentially, the state changed their rules in April to provide a letter of intent to submit for the application. What the letter of intent essentially did was that we submitted more or less a general idea of what our plans would be for this program. And the state gave us 30 days to essentially submit those information for that. So you had to submit by April 17th, they opened it up March 17th. So really, essentially everyone within the state just had to at least submit their information to the state to reserve those funds. And then from that point on, they reviewed people's application, starting within a little bit later in April, and then approved us in about May. And then the application and funding round ends in September. So they gave us about roughly a couple months essentially to complete the entire application and get our program together. So we're working with pretty tight deadlines with the state of Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Plesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So since the city already has its own CDBG process, then if this is entered into, this would be with respect, again, I'm going to admit my ignorance here.
Yeah.
If this is done, then this would be as to out county, in other words, non-city properties, is that right? So
Yes.
out of the various, okay, just want to make sure I understand that. With respect to liens, I see that if 10,000 or more is expended on a property, that will result in a lien, a 5-year lien to the property. What happens after the 5 years?
Essentially, with any of these projects with the state of Michigan, once you go over a certain amount of money, whether that's on the Housing Community Development Fund or the CBG, they essentially just require people to own their property or residence for 5 years and stay within there. So even on my, let's say on my Alpena project, because I'm asking so much money from the state, they essentially told us that we were unable to sell our property for 5 years essentially without paying back the state their funds that they were due.
So after the 5-year period, then the lien is discharged? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, we'd have
In
to
other words,
discharge
forgiven?
it.
Yes.
In other words, forgiven. Okay, just want to make sure I understand the process there. The reporting of something like, I should say reporting and monitoring, is that something then that your group, Debbie, will be doing to kind of monitor the process and what's going on?
Yes, we'd be working very closely with Mr. Ramsey and Commissioner Overton, or excuse me, County Administrator Overton, to make sure that we meet all MISHDA's guidelines as well as the state CDBG rules, things like that.
Well,
So
no
we'd be-
doubt MISTA has its own set of
Sure,
requirements, and they monitor pretty closely, if I
Right.
recall.
Yes.
yeah. We'd have to make sure that we'd both be, looking at it, make sure we meet all of our deadlines
Okay.
and things like that. And if we need to come back to this body, we'd certainly do that. And I know that at the end of the grant cycle, we would come back for a second public hearing when we close out the grant. And we report back to you all everything that we've done, who we've helped, let you know the number of liens, things like that, what the process would be after that 5-year mark moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the chance to ask questions.
You're welcome. Commissioner Willis.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think everyone concedes that Jackson is definitely in need of some housing assistance in the county as well as in the city. But, and particularly for this grant, what is your time frame? Do you have a deadline that you're trying to reach? Or my understanding of this is that it's open until the funds are gone. Is that correct?
So essentially, we have until, I would say, September 17th to submit all of these things to the state of Michigan, because the end of the funding round is September 30th. So beginning September 30th, that's when they will be distributing all the funds to all the people, all the counties and cities who applied.
What would the term of the grant be?
For right now, the term of the grant would be essentially about, from when we receive the funding, we asked for about 24 months to distribute all this, to do all these programs. But it's my belief that we can essentially have it done by next summer.
You have the grant funds used by next summer? I'm sorry, is that what you're saying?
Yes, by the end of next summer.
That's our hope.
Okay. And then for the actual proposal, do you have that proposal prepared?
The proposal, yes. The initial intent to apply, we do have that.
Oh.
Sorry. Gotcha. Yes, we do have our initial intent to apply for the grant funds here. The full application is not due until September 17th, though, so we don't have the full application yet. But we do have that $472,000 earmarked for Jackson County.
So to be
Does it
clear,
answer?
your request is to just improve the application that will be pending the review of the proposal to the commission?
Yes, what we have to do this morning is we have to have you agree that for us to move forward with a full application. So today, we're just asking for your approval for us to submit the full application and to set that initial public hearing for next Tuesday evening. That way residents can come in, voice their opinions, whomever, whether positive, negative. So basically, this just kind of gets the ball rolling for Mr. Ramsey and for Accelerate Jackson County to complete the full application, which is due September 17th.
And I'm sorry, one more question. So when that application, that proposal is complete, will that application be presented back to this board, to this body?
We'd certainly like to. We would certainly like to, even though we don't have a public hearing associated with it. But, I mean, since Jackson County is the applicant, we would definitely bring it back to this body.
Thank you. Thank you,
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
Steve's next. I didn't see his hand. Go ahead, Corey.
Your eyesight's going with your hearing. What does the acronym RFP stand for?
It is a request for a proposal.
Request for a proposal, okay. I asked that because it's showing for the two positions that you mentioned earlier, that's gonna be the funding mechanism. So the total dollars out of the grant is gonna pay for those two positions, am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
And those positions will be done once the funds are expended on the project? It won't be a reoccurring role?
Yes. It should be done as soon as our project is over.
Okay. And those positions that are gonna be hired, who's gonna be doing the interviewing and what's the requirements for those positions?
So essentially, we need to create a RFP committee to review those applications. Essentially, the state has told us, even my position, I have to submit an RFP as well.
Okay.
That we need a committee to review our applications, separate from our ties, especially my ties, anybody without ties for me, to review all these proposals for these positions.
I'm glad you understand that, not ties to you, that's really important. So the RFP committee that you're gonna convey, who's going to select that?
That hasn't been determined yet, but we would work closely with my boss, Keith Gillenwater, as well as Commissioner Shotwell and County Administrator Overton to determine how that process is going to work, who would be on that committee, things like that. Would you like to be on the committee?
I didn't say that, but I would like I would definitely recommend a high level of transparency with that committee. And frankly, that people see that the individuals making decisions are not turning around and benefiting in any way financially from their decision-making. I think that's key.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm assuming this committee then is going to be the one, or is it going to be the program administrator? I'm assuming there's gonna be more people applying than we have money for, because everybody would like a new roof. Everybody would like a new deck on the back of their house. So I guess, who's gonna make that final decision? What are gonna be the key components to determining who gets the money and who doesn't?
I believe, as I told the state, I told them it should be first come, first serve, essentially. First ones who come in, first one to apply, first ones who should get the funds.
Okay. And I think one of the major issues, because I heard all kinds of things, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but with similar programs where people were getting financial payments rather than it going to what it was supposed to be for, are we going to be cutting checks to the owner of the property? Or I shouldn't say we, would this organization be cutting checks to the owner of the property, or would it be going directly to the contractors so that you can verify that the work that was applied for was done?
It should be going directly to the contractors. The state recommended that we create a Rolodex of contractors that we can use to all create bids.
Okay. Thanks, that's my questions. Appreciate it.
Steve, do you have questions?
I don't have questions, Phil. What I'd like to do is I'd like to answer some questions about the county being involved in community development block grant funding. We have done it in the past. We have been involved in it in what is called the 17th Street neighborhood in Summit Township. We also have been involved in it in the area of Herbert J. and Brown Street in Blackman Township. And we were also involved in it in some neighborhoods in Leone. And to Corey's question, not everybody in Jackson County can apply for these. You have to be within a certain designated addresses. It has been in the past. Typically, those were determined by condition of home and that type of stuff. We've done many different projects with Community Development Block Grant over the years and CAA. I go back and look at the actual attempt at rehabbing a home in Vandercook Lake, inside the village of Vandercook Lake, if you would, and then turning around and selling that property to get it back on the tax rolls. We did that in 2005 and 6. Prior to that, in the 1990s, we were involved in blighted home and rehab of different projects within Summit Township and within Blackman Township again, in that space between Wildwood Avenue and 94 on the what would be the western portion of what would be the southwestern portion of Blackman Township, where now the DDA neighborhood is, the urban neighborhood for the Downtown Development Authority, by definition for Blackman Township. So it's always been within designated zones, and there's a lot of pre-existing conditions that it takes for a person to be eligible for this stuff. And also, the contractors have to be rated and meet the criteria of HUD and typical programming like this. So this is not a first-time opportunity or the first time the county has been involved in community development block grants. We did it all back in the 90s also. So we have a history of working with the federal government on the reestablishment of these homes. The big advantage is it keeps these homes on the tax rolls. It increases the value of the home, which again turns around and increases the taxable value, which then means that there's greater tax revenue being generated by these properties. So it is a long-term advantage to the county to maintain these homes and keep them on the tax rolls and not ended up with a lot that's sitting there having to be mowed by a government agency every 2 months. So I believe this is a good program. Thank you, Chairman Duckham.
Yes, sir. Darius.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me the opportunity to speak as a non-committee member. Most of the questions that I had, Commissioner Pileski and Commissioner Kennedy have already asked, but I do want to make sure we have just a couple things clear. So this program, again, we're not using county dollars on this, right?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear and on the record. And then as far as county employees, we're not using any county employees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to make sure that we had that clear and that was on the record. So again, as we look through this program, I did have some concerns, but now hearing what you had to say and then getting some and having some conversation prior to, I have a better understanding of what this is, and I think this is a great opportunity to develop and our county and to help us fix with some of the issues as it relates to just the housing issues that we have in the county. So although I'm a non-committee member, so I can't vote on this, I would stand in favor of this. Thank you. Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
I
Is there
have
another
some,
question? Was there a question that we could clarify?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. There was conflicting information on the memo as to the administrator's outlook. We won't be using county employees at all. It didn't directly say that we'd be using county employees, but it said, it kind of.
Sure, the support necessary?
Yes.
Sure, I can see where that's conflicting.
That's all
I
we were talking
apologize.
about. Yep.
well, it did say Mike Overton and Chairman Shotwell would be involved. That means we're using county employees?
I'm a county employee.
Okay, then which is it? We're using county employees with this or no?
We will be seeking advice from County Administrator Overton and Commissioner Shotwell. Just seeking advice and maybe some guidance.
Okay.
So can I clarify my question, Mr. Chair? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Darius.
So we're not hiring any county employees to do any of this work?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing further.
Okay, now this is for home improvements only. Not, I mean, not they'd like to have a deck. This would be for the senior that can't afford a furnace, or grandmother who needs a roof, and we're not building homes,
Yes, that's correct.
just home improvements.
Yes, it's a home improvement. They have strict guidelines on what we can and can't do.
Okay, now what happens to this money if we don't apply for the grant? It goes to a different community?
That's what I believe so.
Okay. And let's see, the county have the time. I know Mike does. I know you've got the time. Then we won't be picking people that wish to have a deck. They need to have a basic need, roof, windows, something defect in their home to be repaired to keep it valuable and to keep them in it, correct?
Correct. It's a home rehab improvement program.
Okay, it was at one point presented as low-income housing, I believe, somewhere there. And that's a misnomer.
If I may,
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
there's a couple things. This isn't different than what we've done in the past. In all honesty, the only reason we didn't ever consider applying or doing anything with this was we don't have the staff for it. We got out of this business a while ago, so we don't have the staff, we don't have the extra dollars to do that. We do well to do what we're doing now. As was indicated, I got it like the day before the signature was needed, so I'm like, you know what? This isn't rocket science. There's people out there who can't afford a new roof, a furnace, and things like that. For whatever reason, this is money that we could use to help these people in time of need. And if we don't spend it in our community, someone else will spend it in some other community. I'd like to see our contractors help people in our community who really need the money. And I believe that the process will be above board and clean and all that. Accelerate Jackson had approached me about it, and I believe between Debbie and Keith and them, they will do a fine job, and it'll be great. I referred them to Toby Berry, because, you know, she's run the last program. Speak with Toby Berry, she's doing it, and while we're not issuing more money, there are still existing properties that were improved later that we still hold a second or a third bank note on in the lien process, you know, that kind of thing. That once in a while it comes across my desk, but no, I think it's going to be a good program.
And if I may, just to clarify, we did meet with Toby Berry from Community Action Agency. We let her know that we had applied to, and we were invited to submit a full application. And she said that she would offer any support that she was able to. And she had mentioned that they're very good at doing environmental reviews. So we will likely make sure that CAA receives the RFP for the environmental review process, which she has willingly said that she would help us with.
Deb, did you have a question?
Oh, I thought I said. Steve and Mike basically covered it. I was just going to reiterate that we have done this program and we are still administrating a program, as Mike indicated, back from, I believe it's the 90s and early 2000s, that we did a very similar program. There's a couple of different nuances where it sounds like there's not liens on the home, other than if you go over a certain amount, where we have liens currently because it was a loan. Now it sounds like a grant. So we have done the program before, and Toby Berry still administers it for us on our behalf. We do bring the contract with Community Action Agency every couple of years to renew their administrative fee that they obtain for the repayments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pulaski, did you have a question again?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment twice. So today's ask is to have the public hearing, number one. Will there be another ask of us, or if we have the public hearing, can you move forward without further action by us? Or do you need us to act further beyond that?
I believe if we set the public hearing today with this body for next Tuesday evening on July 22nd at 7:05, that would be ideal. That way we can welcome any comments, good or bad, for us submitting our full application. What we would like to do is likely in September, we would come back to this body, present the full application just for your review and your information. But for action necessary, no, there's nothing else necessary than to set the public hearing and then hold the public hearing at next Tuesday's full county commission meeting.
So the only thing you need us to do is to have the public hearing, but no further action. You guys can do what you need to do without the county commission acting further. Am I right then?
Well, we don't need to have your official approval, but although I like to have that because that gives us comfort that you're all in agreement with what we're doing on behalf of Jackson County, although not required, I would recommend that this body approve for us to submit a full application and to set the public hearing, if you were willing to do that today, just for the record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to get clarification on what the action is asked for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Commissioner Pulaski. Did you have another question, Joey?
Yes, I had one more.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So for the public hearing, will the proposal be prepared by that time?
By next Tuesday, the full proposal, the full application? Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it will not. Essentially, this is to invite the community on giving their comments and concerns about the program. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Darius.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then will the proposal then be completed by the September date?
Yes, it will.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry. Will we be able to see the proposal before September?
Yes.
Perfect. And then finally, you have 24 months to have the projects completed. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in the event that, God forbid, knock on wood, all that, a project goes over that deadline, what then happens to that project?
Essentially, I believe just all unused funds that we have will just go back to the state.
So let me be clear, I'm sorry. So if you're working on a project and you're not finished working, so then let's say you're building a roof.
Yes.
And you're not done with the roof at that day and time. And so you come back the next day, we've passed the deadline, the roof's half done. What then happens at that point? Please.
Generally speaking, once you commit the funds, as long as there's active
Yes.
work being done, you're fine.
Correct.
So you just can't spend anything if it hasn't been already approved?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's no different than most of, well, I've never seen one that's different than that.
Okay.
Including the ARPA funds and all that. We had deadlines where we had to commit the funds. Once you're committed, you're good.
Okay.
And then they give us normally a couple years after that, so it won't be an issue.
Okay, perfect.
Especially when they think they can get the work done in less than 12 months, let alone 24.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. We need to make sure that all the money is allocated within that 24-month period.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
sir.
for the second opportunity.
Commissioner Bear. Be nice.
Thank you, Chairman. My question's already been answered. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're about the only commissioner that hadn't asked a question. You got any?
I do not. You guys pretty much covered everything.
Okay, motion and support? What do we want to do? Huh?
Move to adopt the staff recommendation to have a public hearing next week.
Okay, we have a motion and support to have the meeting next week. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, on to item F, administration, proposed policy update, policy 3330, ID badges.
Good morning. Earl's laughing already. He gave me a heads up, there's questions on this already, but, sometimes a policy is brought to our attention with a request from someone within the organization. And that's what happened here, is there was a request with regard to our ID badges. Employees and commissioners, I think, should all have an ID badge that allows you access into different buildings and identifies you as either an elected official or an employee. And that's what this proposed update pertains to, is the ID badge policy. There was extensive conversations through multiple meetings with department heads, elected officials, and with management. With regard to this, it is a basic overhaul of an existing policy. The policy did already exist beforehand, but there was a lot of discussion and a lot of proposed changes. So there's a lot of red lines to review. Questions?
Questions, board? Go ahead, Mike.
I'd just comment that the process for policies, we take it to management team, leadership team, department head, elected officials, sometimes twice for everybody's input and review and changes. And this one here had a lot of people providing input. Who knew there was issues with the badges? But I think well, let's put it this way. I know currently what's proposed has been agreed to by the courts and all the electeds. Everyone's had their opportunity to make changes and suggestions.
Where's your badge, Mike?
Right here.
Okay.
Right there, right there.
You had it in your pocket.
Yep.
Does that count? We can just keep it in our pocket? Okay.
It's not.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. Pardon me? Commissioner Plesky.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. As we said back in the day, there's a lot of blood on this policy. There's a lot of red here. Prohibited content would be names of elected officials, department heads, and supervisors. I'm not sure I understand what that means. Does that mean we would not? I don't understand what that means. What's the point of an ID that doesn't have somebody's name on it?
So what that is indicating is because there's sometimes a turnover of elected officials and department heads and county management, we didn't want to initiate, because these badges are costly. And so if there's a new elected official, for example, we didn't want to initiate an entire new department having to have new badges because the elected official is no longer there. So we didn't want to put that information on the badge to save the county money, so that every 4 years, we're not putting out new badges that aren't necessary.
So if Joe Smith's badge, Joe Smith works for the county clerk.
Right.
The badge is prohibited to say Joe Smith, employee of County Clerk Sierra Sol.
Correct.
Right? That's what that means? Okay.
Yes.
But still, you have an ID that says Joe Smith.
And it still would indicate the office that they work in.
Right.
So it would say like IT on there, or because they're ITs in most of the buildings, so it would still say their office that they work for, just no specific names. So it wouldn't say Sierra Sol or Mike Overton or Gary Schutte for, as the sheriff. So we're eliminating the name, but the office would still be listed as where they work.
And is it clear to everyone involved that the county administration will still retain the authority, the sole authority, to issue IDs?
Yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I don't, if I am no longer a commissioner, I don't think anybody's gonna want my ID with my picture on it.
So our facilities department has control over all the ID badges. So they actually make them generally when a new person is hired or if you lose it. But they also control computer-wise the accessibility to the building. So even if an employee leaves on a bad term and they don't give us their badge back, or if they lose it, we can turn it off immediately upon notification. So, but the identification part is, for example, IT is in buildings every day in different buildings. So if we have a new IT member, then they can be identified through a badge. It can verify that they're an employee. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I thought the process was to save money, is to not keep issuing new ones every time we had turnover.
Right, so that's the elimination of the elected official or administration's name on it. That's the reason for eliminating specific names. It'll still say Office of the Sheriff or Office of the County Clerk, or, you know, it'll still define where they work. It just won't have a specific name on it.
And how about picture?
It'll have a picture.
No, Phil, every employee has a badge with their name on it, their picture, their name, and their department. It doesn't have my name or Sierra or whomever. That's all right. So if that employee leaves, I can't very well give Julie John's badge. It's a
Right.
brand new badge. Yes, that's true. But if the department head leaves and that department had the supervisor's name on every badge, for instance, we just had I just got a letter of resignation from a department head who will be leaving end of the week. Pat, by the way, is going to be, for others who may not know that, Pat has just announced that he's resigning, he's taking another position, blah, blah, blah. But I would have to change all those badges in that department if his name was on that badge.
Gotcha.
And so that will negate all that.
So, Mr. Chair, I don't know whether I have the floor yet or not, but I'm going to dive in. So currently, we have Mr. Overton's name on it. When he goes, then we got 600 or 800 new badges to put together, do we not?
Correct. So that's why we're trying to avoid that in the future, is as there's turnover employees, we're eliminating putting that name on there. So that would be the purpose of that. So we're planning for the future of turnover, whether it be an elected official or administration. If we plan now, we can eliminate that problem in the future.
Just wanted to understand the process, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to comment.
Okay, do we have a motion or support?
I'll support.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item 5, the claims. Need a motion and support to pay the claims?
Move to pay the claims.
Motion by Pulaski, supported by Snell. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, other minutes, there are none. Reporting schedule. Next month, we have BPW, Pension, Enterprise Group, and Chamber of Commerce. Move on to public comment.
Thank you. As expected, the CDBG funding passed. It's almost like I'm standing in front of the Jackson City Council whenever they vote unanimously to pursue a new social welfare spending initiative. Couple questions, and I know you can't answer. Mr. Overton and Chairman Shotwell, do you both sit on the Accelerate Jackson board? 18% administrative fee. That equates to $85,000 approximately from this $472,000 grant from the Magic Grant Tree. First come, first serve. That should have been a deal breaker. First come, first serve. How is that going to be policed? Community Action Agency will be indirectly involved with this. Question, is the CAA funded by the county in any way? If the county has had a prior history working with CDBG funding, then why doesn't the county fully administer this housing initiative rather than an unproven LLC? Mr. Overton, before placing another jail millage on a future ballot, are you currently working on any grant funding for a jail addition? Thank you.
Committee comment. I'll comment. I was skeptical of this community block grant plan, but to help people that would otherwise abandon their home possibly because the furnace had quit working, elderly, I think it's better to keep the house on tax rolls rather than have it be abandoned. And we are helping needy. I ask that specifically. We're not going to put decks on the back of homes, but we might put a roof on or windows or a furnace. I think it's free money. It's going to go somewhere. And I changed my viewpoint on this and did support it. I think we need to help a little bit here, and somebody's going to spend it. I'd rather than go to Detroit. I'd just assume it was spent in Jackson. That's all I've got to say. Any other comment? Okay, meeting adjourned.